In 2020, in Fort Worth, Texas, Vanessa Guillen disappeared. Soon her perpetrators were caught and her body was found dismembered and burned. She gave everything for her country and her family had to fight. Hello, welcome back to my channel where I discuss all things true crime, paranormal, cults, and history. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Today I'm discussing the solved case of Vanessa Guillen. This is her story. Disclaimer, this story includes discussion of a brutal murder, the dismemberment of a body, sexual harassment, and assault issues in the military. If any of these topics trigger you, please take care of yourself and check out some of my other stories. On September 30th, 1999, at Ben Taub Hospital, Vanessa Guillen was born to Rogelio and Gloria Guillen in Houston, Texas. Rogelio and Gloria immigrated from Zacatecas, Mexico. Vanessa had 5 siblings. The family was very close and devout Catholics. She was athletic. She loved to play soccer, run cross-country track, and lift in weights. In 2018, Vanessa graduated from Cesar E. Chavez High School in the top 15% of her class. She was an excellent student and ensured her siblings were doing good in school. That same year, she surprised her family with the news that she had enlisted in the Army and was trained as a 91F Small Arms and Artillery repairer. It was not a big shock, just sudden, because Gloria said Vanessa showed interest in the military early on and would play with her brother's toy pistol. She went to boot camp and graduated with her family supporting her. The family said it was a happy day and seemed so proud of her. She was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, which made them even happier because it was only a few hours away from Houston, and she visited home every weekend. She was said to be proud of her accomplishments and joining the Army. She was also engaged to her fiancé, Juan, whom she met at a quinceañera. He loved her and said that she was the most fearless person he had ever met. Vanessa was very close with her mother, Gloria. Gloria noticed that Vanessa seemed upset over something. Vanessa became withdrawn, did not get much sleep, and did not communicate much. Vanessa finally confessed to getting sexually harassed by a sergeant whom she refused to give the name of. She alleged that the officer would stalk her and watch her while she was working out. She not only felt uncomfortable at work, but also at home, which explains the lack of sleep. Sleeping would be hard if you think someone is spying on you. Gloria offered to report the officer, but Vanessa declined because she knew other women in a similar situation, and nothing happened or they were not believed. I hope this problem in the military has gotten better and will continue to improve. After a bunch of convincing, she finally said she would report him, but she never got the chance. The last person to speak with Vanessa was her sister, Mara. She also spoke to her on the night of April 21st, 2020. She remembers Vanessa telling her that she planned to buy a new car. She seemed to be in good spirits. She disappeared the next day. Vanessa was last seen on April 22nd, 2020, around 1 p.m. in the Regimental Engineer Squad headquarters of the 3rd Cavalry Regiment, or the 3CR, parking lot. She was last seen wearing a black t-shirt, purple workout pants, and black sneakers. The 3CR was her unit where she worked in the armory, repairing small arms and artillery. This was in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, so only essential people worked. She was initially off, but was asked to come in to complete a report. This was only supposed to take a couple hours. The next day at 8 p.m., Myra began to worry about Vanessa after failing to contact her all day. This was out of Vanessa's character to leave people in the dark. Also, she was one of those who were quick to text back and always on the phone. She talked to Juan and he said she missed their daily routine of talking at noon. As the day went on, with no communication from her, Myra called her parents, who had not heard from her either. They decided to call her unit, and the sergeant said she came into work but had not seen her since. The family decided to drive to Fort Hood to try and locate her. Juan also constantly checked on her social media, hoping she would post something. They got to Fort Hood at 3 a.m. By this time, they could only get a hold of one person who said to call at 8 a.m. They met with leadership, who said her white Jeep was still in the parking lot. Vanessa also seemed to have left behind her car keys, ID, and her barracks key inside the armory. The police offered the family to look through Vanessa's barracks room, which in my opinion is very freaking stupid, because what if there was evidence that is now tampered with? Anyways, her unit began to search for her after the family reported her missing and expressed concern over her not contacting anyone. However, they tried to claim that they reported her missing immediately. The Criminal Investigation Division, or CID, took over the investigation. Soon they searched the area, including land, air, and water. They brought in different soldiers who worked with Vanessa. They stayed tight-lipped about the investigation, and the family was very vocal about their frustration. The CID reiterated keeping things close to the vest to maintain the investigation's integrity. The family took matters into their own hands, putting up missing person posters and talking to social media. People started calling in tips, some of which was conflicted, but that is normal. Some people want to be part of the investigation and either remember someone else and apply it to the case, or unfortunately make things up. The CID made public statements saying that they are working with the family closely, but the family expressed in interviews otherwise. They met with the base commander to ask why they did not know what happened to Vanessa yet, and brought up the sexual harassment. Soon after the meeting, the family hired a lawyer to represent them and fight for Vanessa. Her family felt that her disappearance was suspicious. This is when they began to work with Texas EquiSearch, where Tim Miller started. His daughter, Laura, was kidnapped and murdered when she was 16 years old. From this on, he wanted to help people, so they insisted in searching for missing people at no cost to the families, using horses, ATVs, boats, and penetrating radar. The family and supporters protested outside of Fort Hood on May 1st. It was soon discovered that she had plans to hike with her friends, Tay Hightower and CJ Landy, later that day. After not hearing from Vanessa, Tay went to her room, but her roommate said she was not there. He saw her vehicle, but discovered she was working with specialist Aaron Robinson. He called Robinson, who claimed she came to work. They did not speak. She did what she needed to do, left to head for the motor pool office. The motor pool staff working that night said she never came by. However, when a supervisor asked, Aaron said that their interaction was not remarkable, so different from not talking to her. Tay and CJ were officially suspicious of him. On April 24th, she was listed as AWOL, or absent without leave, which is misleading and puts her in a bad light. Also, Aaron is the last person to see her around 1 p.m. According to him, she left to obtain a serial number for a .50 caliber gun and even text him about the task. They never looked into this and never asked follow-up questions. She sent the text at 10:23 a.m. and he closed up at 11:30 a.m. He did say he went to his home where he lived with his girlfriend Cecily. They just stayed home until he left for work the following day at 6:30 a.m. May 18th, witnesses reported to the CID that they saw Aaron on April 22nd with a Pelican case, wheeling it across the parking lot and struggling to get it into the vehicle. The CID went to talk with Aaron, and he consented to a search of his phone. This showed that he was not home at the night, but 30 minutes away in Bow County. On June 9th, a $15,000 reward was offered for any information leading to Vanessa's whereabouts, later increased to $25,000. On June 17th, her reward, created by the Army, was increased by the League of United Latin American Citizens to $50,000. On June 19th, they questioned Cecily, his girlfriend, whom he was supposedly with all night. When they asked her if they were together, why had he called her several times, she attempted to excuse this by that she had lost her phone a lot and that he had helped her find it. This did not make any sense because the calls lasted longer than they would if you were just trying to locate a phone. This is when she changed the story again to say that they went on a drive. According to Cecily, he frequently took drives to cope. They drove along the Leon River to look at the stars. This matched the GPS records, so the CID expanded the search to that area. On June 18th, the CID stated that there was no evidence of an assault, but felt like foul play was involved. On June 20th, near Belton, Texas, they discovered an apparent burn site with a patch of disturbed dirt. They found the burnt lid of a tough box, but no human remains. On June 30th, contractors were working along the Leon River, discovered partial remains. The same area that had been searched after a burning mount was discovered nearby. Investigators theorized that the remains, previously buried under concrete, had been dug up by wildlife. That same day, Myra's birthday, Tim called her to inform her that they found human remains and searches would be suspended until it could be identified. At this time, Aaron was restricted from leaving his room due to violating quarantine policies for COVID-19, not for possibly being involved in a murder. He was left to stay in his room playing video games. The CID monitored his phone to see if he talked about anything incriminating. At 5 p.m., they put a guard by his door because they feared he would run. A text was sent that they could restrain him and call the MPs if he tried to escape. When Aaron found out that they found remains, he texted Cecily pictures and told her, "Baby, they found the pieces." At 8:30 p.m., Cecily interviewed with the police again. She said Aaron picked her up after her shift at a convenience store where she works. He told her that Vanessa saw his lock screen of Cecily's picture. See, Cecily was married to another soldier named Ciara Aguilar. Ciara worked with and was friends with Aaron. Aaron moved in with the couple, but then the couple had issues and Cecily moved out. Soon after, Aaron moved in with her and started dating. However, she was still married legally, and this would be considered fraternizing with a soldier's spouse. He could be prosecuted by the military for 2 years or discharged. He conveyed to Cecily that Vanessa saw her picture and found out about the affair. He threatened to turn them in. He repeatedly hit her in the head with a hammer until she died, then stuffed her into the Pelican box. He took her body to the spot along Leon River. When he took her to the river, he opened the Pelican box and showed her Vanessa's body. He had Cecily dispose of Vanessa's body. They dismembered her body with a machete and a small hatchet and tried to burn her, but the fire would not stay lit. They dug 3 holes and buried the body parts in the holes. While driving away, they threw the machete, hammer, hatchet, and Vanessa's phone out the window. 2 days later, they returned with hairnets and concrete Cecily had brought from the Facebook marketplace. They went to dig up the remains, burned them again with gloves and hairnets, and covered them with lye and concrete. When they returned home, they burned their clothes. Now back to Aaron. Around 10 p.m., he received a call from his mother. The guard overheard him tell her not to believe what she may hear about him. He then decided to run, but the guard could not do much to restrain him. Also, as a reminder, he was there for a quarantine policy violation, not for suspected murder. Cecily did make a control call to get him to confess. He did not deny murdering Vanessa, or that they buried her or burnt her remains. They finally tracked Aaron down on June 2nd when he was walking on the street, but as soon as they approached him, he shot himself. He was a 20-year-old from Calumet City, Illinois. He joined the military in 2017 and trained as a combat engineer. At the time of his death, he earned the rank of an E4 specialist. Because of their jobs, Vanessa and Aaron often worked together. It is unknown if he was the soldier harassing Vanessa, but he was accused of sexual harassment before, so it's not far-fetched to believe that he could have been. Cecily was arrested and charged federally with conspiracy to tamper with evidence. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison. I wanted to mention that Cecily made dark, cryptic posts on Instagram, which I will include. It shows her mindset. The first post I found interesting was she said, "People who fight with fire end up with the ashes of their own integrity." The second one says, "He showed her the darkest part of him. She said, black is my favorite color." And then the last one was, "The most dangerous women, if all, is the one who refuses to rely on you to save her because she was never a damsel in distress." Cecily was arrested and charged federally with conspiracy to tamper with evidence. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison. I wanted to mention that Cecily made dark, cryptic posts on Instagram, which I will include. It shows her mindset. The first post I found interesting was she said, "People who fight with fire end up with the ashes of their own integrity." The second one says, "He showed her the darkest part of him. She said, black is my favorite color." And then the last one was, "The most dangerous women, if all, is the one who refuses to rely on you to save her because she was never a damsel in distress." Cecily's history is more known than Erin's. Her mother was deemed unfit and forced to give her up. She was in the care of her grandmother until she was 2 years old when she was adopted. However, her adopted parents said they struggled with bonding with her emotionally and physically. She was later diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder, or RAD. This happens usually at birth when you are unable to bond with your mother, and it can affect relationships your entire life. She eventually ran away and made ends meet at a young age of 15. This does not change what she did and would not hinder her ability to know right from wrong. It's just her life, and I like learning about how everyone is involved. She has a few memorials in her memory, including a beautiful mural in Houston with her face between the U.S. and Mexican flags. On April 19, 2021, Fort Hood honored her with the Vanessa Guillen Gate. This is the gate nearest to the armory she worked in. The family met with Donald Trump to talk about Vanessa's murder. She expressed that witnesses heard 2 gunshots when Aaron allegedly shot himself, leading her to believe that he was murdered in a cover-up. Trump agreed to investigate Vanessa's case. 14 U.S. commanders and other leaders at Fort Hood were disciplined. This resulted in a statement condemning the climate of sexual assault and harassment at Fort Hood that needs to change. Biden signed an executive order that specifies sexual harassment as a specific offense on January 26, 2022. After her death on July 1st, 2020, she was awarded a promotion from private first class to specialist. This case has always frustrated me. I remember hearing about it during the pandemic. I support soldiers. I was raised by my grandfather who fought in 2 wars. That being said, so much change needs to be done, particularly in mental health care and the treatment of soldiers. In this case, the military must start taking harassment and assault seriously. If Aaron had been properly disciplined, he may not have worked with Vanessa, and who knows how far she would have gone in her military career. I do not think Vanessa could have changed the outcome of this. She was working alone with this guy. I hope her case has changed things for the better, so the next woman can report harassment and deal with it before getting to this point. I feel for Juan, and I hope he's doing well. I mostly feel for her family. They loved her, and I could tell what a wonderful person we lost. Again, comment, subscribe, and like. If you have any future cases you'd like me to cover, please request a case using my form in the description. Join me next time when I'm going to discuss something that terrifies the crap out of me. Open Waters. It's a case about a missing person on a cruise ship. In the meantime, be safe and stay spooky, friends.